fourth graders. So we're just going to run through what our first lesson talks about in our geometry unit. So since it's our first lesson, we have a lot of new vocabulary to learn. So we'll talk through that and then kind of show some examples. So first we have a point. And this is how we label a point, okay? It's shown by a dot. And really, I mean seriously, just a dot, like a period. And it's named by a capital letter. You label it by whatever letter you want. And just like a variable, it's fine to pick any letter that you want. We'll talk a little bit more about that with line. So that's a plot, or a point. Now a line is a straight line that goes on forever and ever in both directions. The lines never stop. So when you draw a line, you have two arrows on the sides, okay, on the ends, to show that it continues. This tells us that that line is going on forever and ever and ever and off my page and onto the wall. So lines can be named with 2 points on the line. And again, they can be named with anything that we want, okay? So they have some examples here: line AB, line GK, and line PN. And when we write the line down, we write it like this. That's how we label, how we tell what we're talking about. So we always have this label here, and we read it as line AB, or line GK, or line PN. A line segment is a part of a line. So it's just a piece. So for example, up here, it would be just this piece. It has two endpoints, which are called endpoints. Segments are named by their endpoints. So, and then when we read it as line segment RS. So R and S. Line segment WT and line segment DJ. And that's, we read it just like it tells us, because it's telling us, this little symbol over it is telling us what thing it is. So it's either a line or a line segment, and for this it's a line segment. So the first question is they ask us to kind of define the difference between a line and a line segment. So you can measure to find the length of a line segment, but you cannot measure to find the length of a line. And that's because a line never ends, right? So this line PN, it never ends. It will go on forever and ever. But line segment DJ has a certain length. It starts here and it ends here. So there's a point where we can measure the start to finish, but a line segment continues on and on forever and ever, so we can't measure those. Now, we use points, line segments, and lines to create angles. And when we draw angles, we have some more vocabulary to review. So first, we have angle, which is this, right? We have two rays and a vertex, okay? They share an endpoint. So looking at angle ABC, we have the vertex B. Whenever we label, or whenever we write down an angle, we always have B as our middle letter because that's the vertex. So for example, we would write this as ABC, and this is angle ABC. And when we name an angle, we always want to use each letter exactly once. We don't want to use A, B, and A, because then that gets confusing about which line segment we're talking about. So we have these things called rays, and a ray goes from the vertex to the other side of the line or the line segment that it's labeled with. So we have ray BA and ray BC. And whenever we give a ray, we start with the vertex, and our second letter is the outside angle letter. So if we draw and label each figure, we're going to draw and label a point. The example we used today was I did a point and then a letter S. And you can do any letter that you want, just like a variable. But for the entirety of the problem, you would want to use that letter. Then for drawing a ray and labeling the endpoint, so on the line I would put point S. We would draw a ray and label the endpoint and write the name of the ray. So here's my vertex, and here's my endpoint. I'm going to label the vertex B and the endpoint C. And when I name it, it is ray BC. And then finally, when we draw an angle, we have our vertex and two rays. They each get two endpoints. They each get an endpoint and arrows at the end because their array is a line with an endpoint on one side, the vertex. And I'm going to label this A, C, and G. So my name for this angle would be angle A, C, G. It could also be angle G, C, A. Either way is okay as long as that C is in the middle because that's the vertex. Now, when we're talking about classifying angles and their sides, we look at the measure of the angles. So from yesterday's intro, we talked about acute angles, right? And all acute angles are less than 90 degrees. So that's how all of these acute angles are alike. They are less than 90 degrees. Acute angles are different from right angles because right angles are 90 degrees, right? So a right angle is 90 degrees and an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So we just need to remember that a right angle, and we label it like this, that's how we say it's 90 degrees. For number 7, we're looking at obtuse angles, and obtuse angles are always larger than 90 degrees. So we would say they're larger or greater than 90 degrees. And this little circle up here is the degree sign. So make sure that you include that. An obtuse angle is different from a right angle because, again, a right angle is 90 degrees and an obtuse angle is less than 90 or is greater than 90 degrees. And then an obtuse angle is different from an acute angle because an acute angle is less than 90 degrees and an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. Now, when you classify angles, angles by their angle measure, we're looking to see is it less than, greater than, or equal to 90 degrees, and that will tell us what kind of an angle it is. So this angle, we name it as FGH, and because it is greater than 90 degrees, it is an obtuse angle. This angle is angle XYZ, and it is smaller than 90 degrees, so it's acute. And this angle is labeled as a right angle, so we can even just go right into naming it. It is a right angle, and we would name it angle LMN, and make sure that this doesn't look like an L, that this is the L and this is the angle symbol. All right, for 13, we have 4 different angles that we're naming. 2 of them are right and 2 of them are obtuse. So we start from kind of the outside and work our way in like that. So we'll look at angle, let's see, we'll name them first. These are obtuse angles. And it's angle AED, right? AED, and angle BEC. These are the obtuse angles. Our acute angles are on the other side, DEC, angle DEC, and angle AEB. And those are our 2 acute angles. So we just have to look to see what the angle measure is on the inside of each of the name of the angle. Now on your own, you're going to draw and label a right angle, an acute angle, and an obtuse angle, and you're going to use your notes from up here about what makes an obtuse angle, what makes an acute angle, and what makes a right angle. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure that you let me know, and I'll see you soon.